Welcome to the video, YouTube. Thanks for joining me. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed my last video where we interviewed Haas, 0 to 130k with his Amazon FBA store. So if you haven't seen that, check that out after this video. But in this video, we're going to be looking at how to reduce shipping costs. So since Brexit, since the pandemic especially, and now with the crisis in Ukraine, shipping costs are volatile, and they're certainly inflated from what they were when I started selling on Amazon. Now, for new sellers and existing sellers, that poses problems to people because higher shipping costs mean squeezed margins and ultimately less profit for you as a business. So we need to be savvy. We need to understand ways to reduce our shipping. So that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. I'm going to be covering my top 5 or 6 methods to reduce shipping costs that you need to be doing when you are placing your orders for your Amazon FBA store. So enjoy the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Right, guys, so we're going to jump straight into this video. Now, this first one may seem obvious, but when I speak to people, which I do speak to people sometimes, but no, when I speak to students, they will say to me their supplier has quoted X amount for 400 units to be shipped over from China into the FBA designated store. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is never just ask your supplier for a quote and take that as the only price that you will get for shipping your goods over. You want to always get quotes from multiple suppliers. Now, it doesn't actually matter if you use those suppliers, but what it means is if you were to reach out to, say, 4 or 5 of your shortlisted suppliers and ask them, based on the volume and the weight of the shipment that you're looking to send over, what would they quote you for shipping? And what that means is you're going to be able to gauge what's good and what's bad. If you've only got one quote, you've got nothing to compare it to. Whereas if you have 5 quotes from 5 suppliers ranging from sort of $1,000 to $4,000, you understand that actually supplier number 5 that's quoted you $4,000, that's actually on the higher end of the spectrum there for shipping your units, which obviously is going to help. So that's the first thing. So many people will just ask one supplier. Ask multiple to give you some perspective on what's good and what's bad. Now, point number 2, many people who sell on Amazon, especially newbies, people who are new to the scene, think that, it's only their supplier who they're able to ask for a shipping quote, right? They're the people that you're liaising with, you're ordering your products from. So, quite rightly, people think that you just ask them how much it is to ship the goods, and that is what it is set in stone. When in reality, what I would suggest considering is looking at freight forwarder options. Now, a freight forwarder essentially is a company, an intermediate company who organizes the shipment to get it from point A to point B. They take over the shipment process from the supplier. Now, if you are to reach out to freight forwarders, I actually have got one that I recommend myself, which is DFS Worldwide, but you are able to use comparison sites for FBA freight forwarders. And again, in addition to your supplier quotes, reach out to some freight forwarders. You will need the weight of your shipment, the volume, the size, but they will be able to give you some accurate quotes. And again, more quotes mean more opportunities to lower the price. Now, as well as that, a freight forwarder makes the process more seamless for you. They take over the hard part, importing goods, getting them through customs, the relevant paperwork, any certification, things that need to be done that someone might struggle with, they will take care of. That's their job. So that would be point number 2. Make sure that you do reach out to some freight forwarders and get some further quotes, because not only will it help save you money, but they will also take the weight off you when you are importing goods with regard to the actual nitty-gritty process of getting them through customs. Now, another point to mention is the actual mode of transport. Right? A lot of people are in a rush to get their goods over. Understandably, people want to start selling soon, but Air freight at the moment is very expensive. Now, sea shipping typically takes longer, anywhere up to sort of 45 days. It can be more than that as well. But the price of shipping via sea, container load, for example, a proportion of a container is significantly less than shipping via air. So if you're speaking to freight forwarders and even your supplier, they should be able to offer quotes for different modes of transport, and you can then factor that in and consider for you which is the best option with regard to shipping. Now, another point, something that a lot of people don't think about, is unnecessary packaging. Now, don't get me wrong, packaging is important. You know, I talk about packaging in my videos and within the Elite Academy training. It's important because of lots of different reasons. Perceived value is one of the more important points with regard to packaging, why it's important, as well as many other things. It protects the product as well, can provide information, etc., etc. But some people will just have completely unnecessary packaging, which has a weight to it. When we're ordering in bulk, 4, 5, 6, 700, 1,000 units, unnecessary packaging adds weight, and added weight will incur further costs for shipping, because shipping is based on weight and volume. So that is something to think about as well. On the same sort of point, remember, guys, when we're looking at the criteria, which we discuss in the Elite Academy, remember a lighter product is always going to result in a lower shipping cost, opposed to something that's heavier with the same amount of units. So if you've got 500 units of the same volume that weigh half a pound, and you've got 500 units of the same volume that weigh, let's say, 1 kilo, the price is going to be different. So consider the lighter products when you're looking at product research. Now, another point, and this is more damage control, so we can mitigate the impact of the shipping cost on profit margin by manipulating our price, having a pricing strategy. So I talk a lot within the training about having flexibility with your price. So never work out all your margins based on a top end price, you know, the maximum you can sell your goods for, because you've got no wiggle room. And we like to have wiggle room when we sell on Amazon, because, for example, if shipping costs go up and you need to cover £1 extra per unit because that's how much more it costs to ship, you're able to do that if you've got some flexibility with your pricing. If you've worked out all your calculations based on a middle of the range price, you've got maneuverability then to move up to mitigate the impact of the £1 digging into your profit margin. So think about pricing strategies. We're able to manipulate price on Amazon, and that's something that should be considered. Now, another important point, and when we think about shipping, certain times of year shipping costs more. So if we split the year into 4 quarters, Q3 and Q4 have typically higher shipping costs. In the build up to Christmas, everyone wants to get their goods in for the Q3, Q4 rush, which means suppliers, freight forwarders, everyone will inflate and slightly increase their prices, which means planning will help you in that respect, because if you are in a position to place a larger order, and again, economies of scale feeding into that, the more you order, the cheaper the quote you can get. If you order in Q2, for example, in preparation for the end of the year, if you're able to with cash flow, for example, it will mean that you are likely to benefit more from a lower shipping cost than if you do sort of a last minute order at the end of October to try and get them in for Christmas. You might be hit by a higher shipping cost. So we just need to remember, guys, that ultimately shipping is a commodity, right? It's volatile. It fluctuates up and down throughout the year, depending on what's going on in the world, depending on shortages, depending on demand. So we need to be savvy, and we need to understand different ways to be able to manipulate and to be able to benefit from cheaper ways of getting our goods over. Now, obviously, sourcing in the UK is another very, I suppose, important point to consider. Personally, for me, ethical reasons, environmental reasons. If you're able to source products in the UK, supplements, for example, are something that typically people won't import consumables from China, and they're able to do it here. Now, that will drastically reduce shipping costs. And again, for your product, if you are sourcing from China, think about, is there an alternative? There may be, and it's something to look into, absolutely. And as a final point, guys, I know with shipping, there's so many terms, right? And I cover them within my training. You know, we've got DDP, DDU, X-Works, FOB, all these different terms. And they are quite overwhelming and confusing. What do they mean? How do they work? And ultimately, remember, if you divide the two, DDU, DDP, and then X-Works and freight on board, those two, X-Works and freight on board, typically put more onus on you, more work for you, which usually will mean you're able to lower the cost of the shipping, but you have more work to do. You're in charge, for example, with X-Works. The supplier makes the goods available at, for example, their warehouse in China, and you have got to organize yourself getting them from there over to here. Whereas with free on board or freight on board, they have to get them to a port and onto a ship, and then you take over and the onus is on you from that point. But that's where a freight forwarder comes in, and again, you can get more competitive prices doing it that way. So I know I talk quite quick. If you're new to the channel, I apologize. I know I need to slow it down. It's the Welsh accent in me, I think, that gets me going, and I get excited. Don't know why I get excited about shipping. I don't really, but yeah, guys, if I can help at all with this video, I hope that it has been of some help to you. Have a think about the points that I've spoken about and take them on board. And let's see how we can move forward towards Q3 and Q4 and see if we can reduce some shipping costs and increase some profits. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.